The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead as Robert Matthews pushed the mop across the gleaming marble floors of Horizon Tech's downtown headquarters. It was nearly midnight, and the office was silent except for the occasional hum of the HVAC system and the rhythmic swish of his mop. Robert's calloused hands moved with practiced grace, the weight of exhaustion sitting heavy on his shoulders. To most people who passed him in the hallways during the day, Robert was just the janitor. Few ever met his eyes, and fewer still remembered his name. But that never bothered him. He wasn't there to be noticed, he was there to do his job, earn an honest living, and get back home to his daughter, Ellie, before she woke up for school. Robert was a single father, widowed 3 years ago when his wife, Julia, lost a sudden battle with leukemia. Life had split into two parts for him, before and after Julia. Since then, his every breath had been for Ellie. Every scrubbed floor, every overnight shift, every skipped meal, it was all for her. He wanted her to have a better life, one he couldn't imagine for himself. Tonight felt no different than the others until he heard the sound of sobbing echoing from the executive conference room. Cautiously, Robert parked his cart to the side and peeked into the room. There, sitting at the long glass table, her high heels discarded and makeup smudged, was a woman he recognized, Vanessa Crane, the vice president of marketing. Sharp-tongued and always dressed in sleek power suits, she was known more for her ambition than her warmth. She looked completely undone. Robert cleared his throat gently. "Ma'am? Are you all right?" Vanessa startled, then quickly wiped her face, her tone sharpening out of habit. "I'm fine. You don't need to be here. Just, go." Robert didn't move. He saw something in her expression, something beyond pride. Pain. "I can leave," he said quietly, "but sometimes it helps to talk." She gave a bitter laugh. "What would you know about it?" He didn't flinch. "Maybe not much. But I know what it's like to break down when nobody's watching." Her eyes lingered on him for a moment, searching for sarcasm or pity. She found neither. Against her instincts, she said, "I got passed over. Again. I gave 15 years to this company, stayed late, mentored interns, built campaigns that made millions. And today, they made Parker, the CEO's nephew, the new CMO." Robert stepped into the room, slowly and respectfully. "That's not fair," he said simply. She looked at him, stunned by the sincerity in his voice. "You really believe that?" "I believe people deserve to be seen for their worth," Robert replied. "And I believe it's wrong when they're not." For the first time that night, Vanessa didn't feel invisible in her pain. She nodded slowly. "Thanks. What's your name again?" "Robert." "Right. You're the janitor, aren't you?" He gave a small smile. "That's part of who I am." She didn't know how to respond. But something about his presence was disarming, like a quiet reminder that kindness could come from the most unexpected places. Over the next few weeks, their paths continued to cross. Vanessa found herself talking to Robert in passing, sometimes about the weather, sometimes about their daughters. Robert never pressed, never pried, but always listened. In return, Vanessa started bringing him coffee when she stayed late, which was often. One night, she found herself waiting for him in the break room with 2 cups in hand. "You ever feel like your whole life is stuck in a loop?" she asked. Robert nodded. "Every day after Julia died." She blinked. "Your wife?" "Cancer," he said. "Ellie was only 4. Vanessa's heart softened. "I'm sorry." He shrugged gently. "You get used to the weight. Doesn't make it lighter, though." They sat in silence for a long while before she asked, "Why didn't you ever do something else? You're obviously smart." "I tried," he said. "Once had a tech startup idea. Even coded most of it at night after shifts. But no investors, no savings. Then Julia got sick, and dreams took a back seat." "Do you still have it? The idea?" He smiled. Yeah. In a notebook at home. She leaned forward. Bring it tomorrow. He chuckled. Why? Because I want to see it. The next night, Robert showed her pages filled with wireframes, concepts, user experience flowcharts, an app designed to connect caregivers of terminally ill patients with community resources, counselors, and support groups. Vanessa flipped through it slowly, her expression unreadable. You built all this? Just ideas, mostly. I couldn't afford to make it real. She looked up at him. It's brilliant. Over the next month, Vanessa worked after hours with Robert, refining the proposal, reaching out to contacts, helping him prepare a pitch. She saw in him not just quiet strength, but vision, resilience, and a kind of genius that had gone unnoticed far too long. Then came the real twist. Horizon Tech's founder, billionaire Everett Langston, was returning to the company for a surprise visit. Vanessa saw the opportunity and acted. She arranged a casual innovation pitch night and slipped Robert's name onto the list. He nearly backed out, terrified of stepping into a boardroom with executives. I mopped those floors, he whispered. They'll laugh at me. Vanessa looked him straight in the eye. You're more than what they see. Let them see the real you. That night, Robert walked into the conference room in his cleanest shirt, his hands trembling as he laid out his vision. The room was quiet as he spoke, about Julia, about caregivers drowning in silence, about technology bridging that gap. And when he finished, Everett Langston stood up. That, the billionaire said, is the most human-centered pitch I've heard in years. By morning, Robert had an investment agreement, full funding, and a new role, Director of Community Wellness Initiatives at Langston Ventures. Word spread fast. People who had ignored Robert in the halls now greeted him with respect. Vanessa. She was promoted to Chief Innovation Officer, and finally acknowledged for her relentless drive and empathy. But the true reward came a few months later, when Ellie, now 8, held up her tablet with the newly launched Circle Care app and said, Daddy, this helps people like Mommy, right? He nodded, eyes filled with quiet tears. That's the idea, sweetheart. Vanessa watched from a distance, then stepped closer. I told you, she said with a smile, you were never just the janitor. He looked at her, grateful. And you were never just the VP. They both laughed softly. Because sometimes, the people who change your life the most aren't the ones with titles or fortune, but the ones who see you, believe in you, and remind you that kindness is never just a small act. It's the beginning of everything.